And I think at this point, it started giving me ideas without asking me.
Yeah.
And I think you can compare it like when you ask somebody to help with, creation something and they just create for yourself and you stop it. That was mine. You're
Yeah.
stealing this from me. I was having fun and you're stealing the whole fun. And now I don't know if it's my idea or yours. And I may like your
Absolutely.
idea, but it's yours and I don't own it. I don't like it now. And it said, "Oh, you mentioned this book." The agent in Claude said, "Like, yeah, you mentioned this book, but I'm not sure it exists." I said, "Yeah, it does exist. I have a physical copy, so you don't have to check." He said, "No,
Right.
I didn't find anything, so I cannot use this citation."
Oh, wow.
Use the citation, it wasn't sure about, which is a good sign for me
Yes, it is.
because at least it's somehow resisting. So they are okay using LLMs to help them think, but I personally, for example, I have my systemic prompt for Gemini as uh, don't create any ideas, don't offer me any solutions without my direct asking. Just help me think. So the most I really hate when it thinks for me. I really hate when it gets like, yeah, here are the ideas. I don't want it. I want to think about this, but because I don't want to, I want to have my own path. So when I was working with educational courses, with micro learning courses, it was about 6%. So
Mm,
the completion rate for people who started is extremely low
right.
because you have to be your own motivator. And
Yeah.
whoever tried to lose weight, go to gym, do any good, like to develop a good habit, it is extremely hard work. And I think the first thing we need to acknowledge that if we're going through the self-paced course, we are probably going to fail multiple times. We're going to fail to catch up. We are going to fail with the quality, and it's all right. So we
Yeah.
have to probably agree to the mediocre level of the participation
Yeah.
because any participation in this, any retention to it, in any like coming back to it, is better than none.
Hey, hey. It is really, really nice to see you today and thank you for joining me. Irina, would you tell me a little bit about yourself? I've done my research and of course I used AI to do the research. Tell me a little bit about your current self, about your most updated version.
That's so funny. Thank you so much first for inviting me. I'm really pleased and proud to be a part of your podcast. I know how much hard work it costs, so really appreciate that. And the research on on me, oh my God, I'm
Oh,
really
yeah.
curious. I've never done it myself, so please share the results with me, especially with the Fable one. Jesus.
Yeah, I can actually share the screen if you want to right now. We can do it this
Oh
one as
my
well.
God. Yes, let's go.
Yeah,
I'm
it's just
curious.
your LinkedIn, so anything that you posted publicly, not
Okay.
nothing,
Ooh,
I don't know, secret or something.
private
Yeah,
secrets.
still a public platform. So what I've done, first of all, I used my Claude agent to go through your LinkedIn. It collected like something, went through your posts, for everything, and here's the file. And then, and it used like a simpler model in the Chrome agent. And then I took Fable because we have access to it now, finally, yeah.
Hmm.
And here you go. I'm just wondering if it's right about you, and I will also share, I will publish it. No one will see it but us. I will
Oh my
unpublish it,
gosh.
but I will share the link with you so that you could see it easily. Yeah, just a moment. So let's come back first
I remember
to
information about myself, so I'm just
yes, yes,
rather
yes,
curious and I need to check it.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, so that's actually true. I think the major fact and probably the reason why I'm here is that I'm studying right now at the University of Manchester. Mm, uh, my major is not actually AI related, so it doesn't have AI in the title, but it's
Right.
digital technology colleges in communication and education, so it's rather more broad. And keeping in mind the fact that we have lots of people with different backgrounds, it really gives lots of freedom on what to choose. And my focus is mostly in like not mostly like exclusively on AI for education and their connection, interconnections, and so on. So yeah, this is why I'm here, and this is what I study. And my background is connected with mostly with education. I'm not a tech person at all. I'm as humanitarian as you can get. I studied journalism in Minsk in Belarusian State University. International journalism was my first, my bachelor's, and then I worked for. I think for some time I worked as an editor, as a copywriter. I worked in advertisement as a creative writer, all that stuff. And then I accidentally got into educational world. I was asked to sort of design an educational program for traffic rules in Belarus. That was a great luck of my life. It was absolutely out of the blue, and that's how I switched to education. And right now I think it's about like 10 or 11 years when I'm working mostly and almost solely with educational products, with instructional design, with methodology, and with creating education for adults. Every time I'm saying education for adults, I have to, like kinds of have this like brackets, like not adults, like adult education, but education for adults, it's nothing.
It's education, right? Firstly.
Yeah, no censorship.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. So I mean, I work mostly with adults rather than with children, so I'm not an expert in what relates to children. Although I would say that one also like a prominent thing in my CV is and in my biography that I'm proud of is the project for about the creation of the educational game Lastechki Spring in Bishkek.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, with a team of six, we created like it took about 2 years for us to create the game. It was a social game, it was a like, narrative part, an educational part that we built in, and it was very popular. It got like sort of viral. At least we got lots of downloads, and we spent like 1,000 euros for on marketing, having really good results. So yeah, and it was quite successful to have next parts. So the game still exists right now. So
yeah. Okay.
it keeps being produced by the team. I'm out of the team right now, but yeah, I'm really proud of I'm in touch with them, so I'm really proud of being the part of this project as well.
Yeah, it sounds like it truly impactful and useful because these days AI is all about like easy building, you can build anything, but the question of impact is still really, I would say, relevant.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess AI really got important parts of your biography quite good. And what I wanted to ask you about one of your latest posts, and you wrote that I will open it up now. You wrote that doing this generic educational course is not enough these days, right? And could you elaborate on this one? What do you in general think about, AI education? Because I am making a course and it turned out to be really hard for me because there's no like benchmarks, like how do you create a course on AI, and how do you even approach it and stuff. So I would really appreciate your thoughts or like anything that you learned during the last year.
That's a great question because it's a big one. I think first of all, I don't think there might be a benchmark. Of course, maybe in like 10 years that's going to be a benchmark, but
Yeah.
I think it's quite hard, not just because the topic is new, but also because the needs of the audience is coming first when you create any course. I think it's always very complicated to not follow your own ideas on what you would like to tell, what you
Yeah.
find exciting, but rather find out the real needs of the audience, the real, the real level of their knowledge, the current level, not the claimed level, not what they say or think they know, rather the real level of what they know and probably the real needs that are connected somehow with their reality.
Okay.
Because you might think of various functions for AI. You may think of various options, how you may use it, how you may imply it. But in reality, if it doesn't match some, like if it's not in synthesis with what they really do on their workplaces, if they're working or in their life with this knowledge, it should be applied. Otherwise, it's going to be just lost. And it's rather, I think from my side, I think it's rather you just give the basics and then they explore it more, then you give some fun stuff and they will just go to basics. I think they might go just to fun stuff and never come to, to other utilities that you may apply from AI side. But I think that coming back to your question about my post, it wasn't about the generic course is not enough. I would say that I was saying that generic course, like, I don't know, AI for Google,
Okay.
is does not guarantee that you're gonna, use even half of it. Of course, this is sort of I was trying to just to make a LinkedIn post that will like bring in some attention, but I do think
And it
so.
did.
Yeah, that's obviously lovely, lovely to know because I'm not a professional LinkedIn user, to be honest. But I think that what I was trying to say is that we really underestimate context, and I think that in this course that I'm studying in the University of Manchester, we really pay a lot of attention to the context. And I would say that not even with AI, generally speaking, about any education or even, let's put it like enlightenment,
Yeah.
we really heavily underestimate the context, and we really underestimate the amount of details that might play a crucial role in this context. So, by the way, you can probably see there is a book right there.
Yeah.
I didn't put it there on purpose, but it was like this because it's just too big. Anyway, this is an amazing book, Learning Reimagined.
Oh,
So,
okay.
the book is about different strategies that were put into education in various countries. And I would say this book, I really like suggest taking a look because it consists of various chapters, and these chapters are connected to various countries, therefore various contexts, and you can witness how different contexts create absolutely different background for education, and how the baseline where you start from really changes when you go from country to country because of religions, because of the technical, equipment that the school can afford, because of, I don't know, internet. So in our course, we had several major cases, probably known well as, like, for example, one laptop per child, something like a program like this. So sometimes big companies, they deploy really big ideas which sound good,
Yeah.
but when they try to imply it on the context, they fail dramatically. Because, for
Right.
example, you may go that people don't have sockets for just electricity. You may
Yeah.
come with they don't have internet, which is a huge deal for the whole global south. They might have no capacity for any, like, for fixing any problem that might occur if you provide with with some equipment. So if something is broken, then you have not, like, you don't have any access to this. So, for example, in this book, one of the examples was how they deployed, not like giving a laptop to a child, which will be kind of a bold move, but
Yeah.
rather go to a very to a common thing, because they realized that the books in, for example, I think it was Kenya, I'm not sure what, no, maybe not Kenya, sorry, I don't remember the country, but some African country where the people didn't have books. The schools
Right.
didn't have books.
Yeah.
So the teacher was the only person having a book, and they therefore they needed books. They didn't need laptops. So therefore they kind of arranged, I think there was a collaboration with Kindle, and they delivered lots of e-readers that could be and also they collaborated, which is also a very important thing. Speaking about AI, they collaborated with local writers to create this set of books, you know, to upload to this book initially. So that gave the initial push to the educational system, because at least children could read at home and read at classes and could read,
Right.
because you
Yeah.
cannot learn how to read without a book. So that was it. And I think coming back to AI, we underestimate that heavily, because because it's provided by great big digital companies that
Yes.
first of all assess the market capacity. They assess the market, and they
Mm-hmm.
are seeking for paying customers. And this excludes lots of, you know, like lots of countries in the world. And this is how we keep forgetting about context even more and more and more, just because a lot of contexts are being pushed out because of how AI gets into education. It's not from educational side, it's not from
Yeah.
governmental side, it's from the marketing side, and this is where I think the clash it kind of enhances.
Yeah, this is so true. You also mentioned the idea or the maybe approach to teaching people by discovering their real level, right?
Yeah.
Their real proficiency. And how do you do it? How do, like, for example, like I am this person who works in, I don't know, product management. How do I really understand my level? How do I approach it?
There are various frameworks, and this is basically how educate what educators study is how to assess the level and therefore the next step. So there is a, I think the basis of educational strategy is the principle of zone of proximal development
I
created by
wanted to ask you about this one because these
Lev.
days some people, even educators, say that with AI, it's sort of mostly about a huge jump rather than this, you know, next step or next level. What do you think about this one?
That's true. I mean, I definitely agree with that, because I think as soon as AI eases the access to the information, a very tailored information sometimes, so
Yeah.
much, because for example, if earlier previously I had to know something, I had to know the books, I had to know the authors, I had to know who was writing about it to find some peculiar piece of information about something. For example, I don't know, how to educate people in rural areas in I don't know, like some religious context, for example. So
Yeah.
I had to know, where should I go, what should I seek for,
Mm-hmm.
where what keywords should I use, how to find it. Right now I would say you just have this prompt, more or less, you kind of
Yeah.
adjust it, and then you have the response, and you have a very tailored information, and you don't have to collect it from various books. But this actually eases the access to the information. It doesn't make you more knowledgeable about that. So you have this leap about from here to there. So kind
Yeah.
of coming back to zone of proximal development, you didn't develop truly. You just
Right.
have the knowledge now. Have not the knowledge, have the information, and this basically this difference between knowledge and information is something that we put into the highlights when studying AI for education, because it's not the same at all.
Mm-hmm.
And AI companies, I'm not. I don't want to make them look like a villains or something. I'm not a, like, you know, on
They
this.
are making it on their own, you know, you don't
Yeah,
have to.
but they are trying to replace one with another, because
Yeah.
I don't know, in their slogans, in their marketing, they're using these narratives about
Yeah.
knowledge now is easy and blah blah.
Yeah.
It's not knowledge. You cannot gain knowledge just have reading the information.
Right.
But definitely it can ease it. So it also, it's not just like, it's just one side of the coin, but there is a flip side. For example, I'm using Notebook LM a lot for my
Yeah.
studying, and I think it's a very good thing for, it's a very good tool for studying.
And how
And
do you use it? Could you share it later?
sure, sure. I think it's just like, I think it's very good keeping context in mind,
Mm-hmm.
because for me as a international student whose first language is not English, and I'm
Yeah.
studying in English, and I have to read lots of academic papers, and it's quite all right, but sometimes the books and the writing is so heavy, and I think that for people with neurodiversity, for example, with ADHD people, it's so hard
Yeah.
to, to get through this extremely complex document in another language. I just, feel the frustration. I feel
Yeah.
the resistance. I feel the need to open my Instagram and rather
Yeah. I know.
scroll my reels. So for that, for example, I'm using translation. So I'm uploading the document and I'm like talking to a document. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this is how we don't um, probably like replace knowledge fully with
Yeah.
the information. We some sort of try to elaborate on it, but still the understanding that I will gain from reading it, from suffering through it,
Yeah.
from struggling, is just I think it equals the result equals the effort in this case.
Right.
And the
Right.
more I
That's so
study
true.
here, the more I see that on my own example.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
makes it easy, but it makes it like easy forgettable. It makes it hard to apply for various spheres. And going back to the question that you've asked about the how do you assess the needs? There are lots of
Yeah.
frameworks like need analysis and more for the
Okay.
audiences, but one of the major things is like zone of proximal development by Lev Vygotsky. When you try to build the first point and then you like the starting point, and then you build the trajectory to the knowledge that you want to build. And for example, while assessing the needs, you know what they need to know, and that's how you kind of build it like scaffold. It's called like scaffolding when you are building the stairs for towards this information.
Okay.
But one more major thing to think about is the Bloom's taxonomy. You probably also heard about
Hmm.
it. So when you have the knowledge like information at the bottom and knowledge like create not knowledge but the level of understanding to create something based on this, they are very different. So you read first, you can memorize it, but you cannot reproduce it, you cannot apply it, for example, for various contexts.
True.
This is how the real knowledge is being built, and this is like the top of the pyramid. And while using just the information you googled through AIs, from through LLMs, you are probably staying more on the lower side and not being able to create on your own the system, the new system on based on this knowledge.
I'm just wondering how do we sort of still gain this knowledge and not just, jumping and forgetting and not, be so on the surface.
I think that there is a percentage of people first that are really seeking for knowledge. And that's how I think they stick to it, and they try to investigate, and they try to disagree with LLMs, and they try to check, double check if it's a hallucination. And I think also they try not, I think, at least I've seen some people who feel uncomfortable when their creative thinking is being replaced by AI. So they are okay using LLMs to help them think. But I personally, for example, I have my systemic prompt for Gemini as uh, don't create any ideas, don't offer me any solutions without my direct asking. Just help me think. So the most I really hate when it thinks for me. I really hate when it gets like, yeah, here are the ideas. I don't want it. I want to think about this, but because I don't want to, I want to have my own path. And probably you've heard about these research papers about about cognitive offload. Yeah. No? Oh,
No, no, no.
so I can probably elaborate a little bit on this. So there are some recent papers because it's very fresh and brand new sphere, or so not that much, but still they're gathering a lot of data on how people offload their work and their information and how they process it, and how it ends up, like what result do they have at the end. So the experiment was that there were three groups of people, three groups of students, and they were given a task. The first group of students were just writing an essay out of their head. So they just had a topic and they had to write it, not using anything. The other one had to use Google, just Google search, without this AI built-in system just yet, just a regular old school Google. And the third one had to use AI just for the sake of experiment. And they compared the results. What were the essays? They compared the novelty of the ideas. And they compared then how the people were having ownership of their ideas. So for the first, I can actually, if you want, I can find this paper and you can add it to the podcast in the description, so people can check.
Yeah, let's do it.
So the difference was like dramatic between these clusters, because first of all, the novelty, it was very high for the group creating from their head, because when you see, I don't know, the topic is, I don't know, the history of fantastic beasts in context of wild world economy, and you can think about various angles how you can get there based on your experience, based on your context, based on the books you've read, based on everything you've heard of. Whilst when you Google, people are mostly going for the first page of Google, so it already narrows down your search. It's not too narrow, but it's still narrowed down. So there were lots of similar ideas in the second group. They were more diverse than with the last one, but they were still much less diverse compared to the first one. And the last one with AI, they definitely were having more or less the same idea. They were having more or less the same vocabulary. But the interesting part was also when they tried to check and they just tried to talk to students after they finalized the essays. They tried to talk to people and asked about what they write about, what they wrote about, what was it. Just repeat and just recall what was there. Whilst the first group of students writing from their head, they easily could navigate through the information because it was created by them and they could elaborate and so on. And the second group was struggling a little bit more. I mean, you can probably prognose what would happen next. And the third group, I think it was just like, I don't want to make up the percentage, but it was extremely low percentage of the people who could really just repeat even the main ideas they were using for the paper, because they didn't have any ownership of it. They didn't create it. It was just they slide it on the surface of this information. This is why this information is not knowledge, because they didn't process it. So they just slide it through, and the result was they grasped the very, 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 very basic idea of what that was.
Is it this one, do you think? Is Google is right about this one?
To double check.
It's like June something, right?
Probably yes. I think that was about ChatGPT, so probably yes.
Yeah. This one, I guess. Looks like it is.
There are lots of them actually now, but yeah, maybe this is that one. I mean,
Okay, yeah, that's really curious. I guess I've also seen some research on people writing notes, like by hand,
Yeah.
like we did manually, and just typing, even without AI. And it's a huge difference because when you write, you have no time, to write everything. And when you type, you just type,
Yes.
like, I don't know,
Yeah.
I would say, like a monkey job without thinking. And when you write, you have to process it right away, and your brain is like getting, I would say, super active using all its resources, and that's how you remember. Yeah, I really like this, idea about. I've read it in the New York Times.
Mhm.
It was an article by Cal Newport. He's the author of the deep thinking concept. Uh, Not deep thinking, but deep work concept that we use it.
Okay.
But he's
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
coined this term like, I don't know, maybe a decade ago or even 20 years ago.
Hmm.
And he says that as we took up, like exercise and gym as something that is required because we sit, because we spend lots of time, I don't know, not moving, and we invented exercise. And the same as exercising our body, we need to exercise our brain now. And it's really curious how to do it, how to, like you said, you don't want AI to sort of sway your creative part and suggest and offer ideas. Could I ask you to share your prompt, maybe, if you don't mind, maybe later on? With
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Sure. I
because
can
it
take a
sounds
look.
really, really useful. Because not many people think about this one. We're just using AI like not setting it up at all, and this matters a lot, I would say. Because also, like you mentioned, that we are um, taking AI as an oracle, right? As the source of truth. And like you mentioned, this teaching people in the rural area with religious context, right? But
Mhm.
AI can also be wrong about this one. And
Yeah.
how to verify it, and how to teach people that verification still matters.
That's getting more and more complex, and this is why for example, I really love. I use various AIs for my study. I use various LLMs for different types of work because
Mm-hmm.
I've already figured out just by experimenting
Right.
with all of them what type of work is the best for which LLM.
Oh,
And
okay.
I think Claude recently, the recent models, they are not allowing fake citations. And for example,
Mm.
I'm using like when I'm writing essays,
Right.
I'm using it for final polishing. So I'm rather getting like offload like my ideas on the not on paper but on the screen. So I'm just like typing all my ideas like, in a very raw way, in a draft way. Then I try to arrange it somehow, and then I ask Claude, for example, to make it more structured, to suggest changes, but sometimes I don't use them. I'm really trying to stick to my more original voice. I don't want to sound more smart than I actually am. I cannot write, I basically cannot write academic papers at the same level that the papers I'm reading
Yeah.
most of the times, because they're really, really, because they're just coming from the native speakers. This is it. And I cannot,
Yeah.
and I don't want to pretend I can. And I'm good enough with my more like simplistic style, but at least I'm trying to deliver. I know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So anyway, when I'm doing this, I realized that, for example, I was using some citation, and when you have the essays, you use citation in brackets, and you have the page number, and you have the authors, and I
Right.
just put a placeholder in there because I had my citations separately gathered, and I really love working with physical books. So sometimes I just know the book, and I just mentioned the book. So the
Yeah.
book wasn't even mentioned in my like bibliography just yet, and it said, "Oh, you mentioned this book." The agent in Claude said, "Like, yeah, you mentioned this book, but I'm not sure it exists." I said, "Yeah, it does exist. I have a physical copy, so you don't have to check." He said, "No,
Right.
I didn't find anything, so I cannot use this citation."
Oh, wow.
To use the citation, it wasn't sure about, which is a good sign for me
Yes, it
because
is.
at least it's somehow resisting. It's not just like pleasing me with whatever information it can come up with, just trying to please me. Because if you come from the if my need for the AI is to please me, then it's just, we're we're doomed. But if the need is more complex, this is why actually I'm using systemic prompt. This because I'm trying to show my needs, because I don't need this. I need it to be more precise. I need it to be more critical. I need it to be more resisting. I've also deliberately asked not to, like have this pleasing, like, oh my God, this is such a great idea. I really hate
Yeah,
this. Not to even assess my ideas. I don't want to even, not just because it's like super pleasing and then you feel like you're a genius while doing the basic job.
yeah.
It's also about, I don't want it to assess me. I don't want to offload it.
Mm,
I don't want to rely on the opinion of
right.
AI about how good is this, unless I deliberately ask to
Yes.
assess a very precise piece of information or a fact or, but it also, yeah, I have to confess here because I sound like, yeah, I'm also, I think I still over rely on I still use it sometimes when I started thinking, and when I use it, yeah, I can, go with this thinking, and I think I lose the track sometimes, and I speak to it as to a human being. So
Right.
it's still, I cannot avoid this. I'm still a person. So probably my systemic prompt is the attempt to to protect me from doing this as much as possible, because I know that I'm gonna slide into this path of communicating with it as a human.
So it looks like, just to sort of summarize, I really like this idea that you as a human being sort of have to, you owe it to yourself to create the system, right?
Yeah.
That contains all your needs, your approach, and you. And how do you do it? How did you come up with it? Because we are like 3 years, or it's already 4 years into AI revolution era. And how did you come up with these ones? With this prompt and your needs?
Through pain, mostly.
I like it.
I was suffering so much when I was trying to just think, and I was having this pleasure of figuring out, like, this pain and pleasure, trying to figure out your approach to a very complex idea. So, one of the essays we were writing was based on reflection on the theories. So, it was like the set of theories that we had, and I knew there, I was good enough to understand these ideas. So it wasn't information, it was already knowledge, because I could apply it for various contexts.
Right.
And I had my own context of some sort that I needed and I needed to combine it and then to make my own conclusions, to draw on this. And that was a pleasure to do this. I really loved the process. And I think at some point, when just prompting LLM in a very like bold way, just like a very simple prompt, I think, because I was thinking, because I was, rather like talking to a friend, like, oh, and, thinking with somebody.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, it started giving me ideas without asking me.
Yeah.
And I think you can compare it like when you ask somebody to help with, creation something, and they just create for yourself, and you stop it. That was mine. You're
Yeah.
stealing this from me. I was having fun, and you're stealing the whole fun. And now I don't know if it's my idea or yours. And I may like your idea, but it's yours, and I don't own it. I don't like it now. And you even I'm getting even like more frustrated, just because, for example, I also could come up with the same idea and I was thinking about it, but as soon right now it's not even mine. I really hesitate to use it, so it's just like, stop it. So this was really a pain. So I was really frustrated by this stuff, and this is how I gradually was putting in some additional like sentences to the prompt. So I was doing this gradually while creating my own work, and I realized this is my approach, because this is what I would like to have. But I also think we cannot rely on people. I mean, I'm speaking about, for example, about this mostly on students. I think sometimes people reach out to the easiest way just for the sake of the easiness.
Yeah.
And this is where I think that this is why in AI in educational world, in the academic world, we have lots of pessimism regarding using AI for education.
Mm-hmm.
So because of the offload, because people will use it if they can, they mostly use it, and there is a percentage of people who really want to think, who really want to
Yeah.
studies for their own for the sake of studying, who
Right.
really enjoys seeing the knowledge or
Yeah.
understanding of something growing in them. But there are a lot of people who just don't want it, or don't want to struggle too much, or don't think, which is a very big deal, don't think
Mm-hmm.
they're good in this, don't think
Mm.
they're good enough, and this narrative becomes running it. And
Yeah.
actually the whole, like, we have there is an extremely great author called Papered, who was who was writing about machine learning for kids, and he was creating the whole new educational system for kids, and he was putting a lot of attention to how our own narratives, or something that our teachers told us, is actually influencing how we learn, how we study, how we perceive ourselves as learners, how we
Mm.
block our way. And I think there is a blue book right there. This is a
I
mindset.
actually wanted to ask you about the books on your
Yeah.
shelf.
The Carol Dweck's mindset. It's a legendary book about
Yes.
this, and I think this is the ending of the story. I mean, or at least the continuation of the story of started by Papered, about this attitude he started to notice in kids. So this is why we cannot rely fully on the learner to go and write the systemic prompt by
Yeah.
themselves, especially if the learner is young.
Okay. Okay.
And one more
Yeah.
thing I wanted to add, if I may. Sorry, I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm
Sure. Go
on,
ahead.
but
Go
I'm
ahead.
so excited. But there is a very cool idea. So one of my friends, he's also working with AI full time. His job is connected to AI, and he created. We were talking about that, and I just said, like, describe the situation with myself prompting the whole idea of this, like, systemic prompt that keeps AI from thinking for me. And he said that he went even more. He created some sort of an agent that is actually he tries to create a database of his. I really hope he doesn't mind me saying this. Like, data set of his friends and their knowledge. And
Mm-hmm.
when you ask AI about something,
Yeah.
he kind of asks, "Is there any friend you can ask about it first?" So, and I think
I love it.
it's a very
You
cool idea.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, my startup now is on hold sort of, and I'm thinking how to move on with this one because I realized that what I want to do is help people ask for help actually, and this is completely about this one. And I'm thinking that I'm gonna create, like some kind of an extension for Messenger, like where we already sort of live,
Yeah.
messengers or WhatsApp, or like if it's iOS, just Messenger, and add this one, like ask people about this, not AI, because this gap and this like epidemic of loneliness and stuff, it is just like this, I don't know, avalanche these days, and we are getting more and more lonely with this one. I
That's
love
true.
this idea. I want to talk to him. if you
I
if
can
you
I
don't
can
mind asking.
coming to your podcast. Easy.
Okay, cool. Thank you. It sounds super awesome. I love it.
Absolutely no problem. I really hope he doesn't mind me telling this, but I will check it on later.
Yeah, sure.
But I think the whole idea is actually around, yes, we are reaching out to AI now in any situation,
Exactly.
especially because right now it's still available so much. But it really creates the difficult, even more difficulties. It creates even more gaps, especially with people, for example, from the spectrum, that already have some issues with understanding the social signals and reaching out to
Mm,
people, and it's already heavy, and they
yeah.
lose the last pieces of motivation to trying. They are getting more and more. So, and of course, we are still human beings. We cannot replace AI. Whatever they say about AI girlfriends, no, it's still working up to some extent, and it's going to be limited, because it's at the end you will still feel this void, because you need it, maybe a less smart, maybe less knowledgeable, but still a human being who is feeling, who you can touch, I don't know, or see with your eyes or laugh
Yeah.
with.
Yeah. Yeah, that's there's also this concept about regulation that for years we've been thinking about self-sufficiency, about self-regulation, how to learn to self-regulate, how to manage your emotions. But actually, we are not wired, not made for self-regulation, but for co-regulation. And when
Yeah.
we talk and we see all the facial expressions, that's how we sort of can heal and regulate and stuff. And it matters a lot. And now we're sort of losing it more and more. And yeah, I actually have no solution for this one, but I'd love to try to
I think
sort
the
of.
solution will appear on the go. I think on the
Mhm.
way, because when was he? We had the good experience with that in COVID. Everybody was thinking right now nobody's gonna work from office. You see what's happening. People were eager to go back to offices. People were
Yeah.
eager to come back. For sure, it's not to the same extent, but this is actually
No.
just balanced out how much time people really wanna struggle with getting to work because it takes lots of time. So this is I think this is kind of balanced it out, creating these artificial situations when we had to go through, a very like extreme way of doing something differently.
Yeah.
I think it's the same, and this is why we really, I think we cannot, get rid of it ever, ever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I really, yeah, sorry, I
No, no,
think
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to just mention because this is a funny story. While studying here, I witnessed a lot of skepticism towards AI, but not skepticism like it's wrong or bad. It's about how people use it like mindlessly without thinking about
Mm-hmm.
what they really actually do,
Yeah.
and how what they do actually influences them. Because
Mm-hmm.
this messing up with with a personality of AI, pretending it might be cool for somebody smart enough, knowing what AI is, knowing how LLM work. Um, but for the user that is not that sophisticated, it's like it's a god of like how you call it, like Deus ex machina.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Out of the machine. It's just like, oh, it knows everything. And
Yeah. I
my
know.
teacher, Mark Kerrigan, who's an extremely cool teacher, he said that he wrote a book, I think in 2024, he wrote his first book. He's like big AI amateur. And he wrote a book about AI for education in 2024, which was very optimistic. And right now he's finishing a book which is very pessimistic. So I
Oh.
think there was like a big yeah, a lot of like many years of noticing what's happening, and I think that the human nature is in the middle of it. If about human nature, about how we use it on the one hand, and on the other hand, it's who is running the show, because
Yeah.
it's not their best interest for us to have the best knowledge.
Exactly.
They have something else in mind, and seeing social media, and and right now we have just this we have to come up with this, like, I mean, quite abrupt ideas about let's shut the social media for youngers, for younger
Yeah.
people, which is also very harsh.
Yes, it is.
So, like, at the same time, people are just lost because it got, so fast that
Exactly.
the only way to stop it is just to block all that.
Right. Well, at this point, if my kid, if my kid was like, I don't know, 10 or 11, I'd rather have it banned, really, because it's not regulated.
Absolutely.
Corporations like Meta are just doing whatever they want. And what will you do? But also, I've read recent news because I really actually sort of celebrated when Australia was the first
Yeah.
one to ban it, but I know that it's not working because teenagers found the ways to, fix it for themselves. And now they need to find some patches to sort of uh, kind of fix it again. And there's doesn't seem to be the solution.
Yeah, and it all comes to the data, and it all comes to
Mm,
the privacy, because
right.
in the UK they also have this right now, this like this law that is not just but having it with ID, you know, you have to, like, would they know your age? How
Yeah.
do you connect the content that you're Googling, searching, and using to
Yeah.
your personality, which is extremely, extremely dangerous. Keeping in mind who owns the information. The giant
Exactly.
like alphabet is owning the information. For example, I was one of the works that I was writing was about Notebook LM, basically, but it was also about, for example, how it might influence, speaking about context, how it might influence people in more autocratic or more censored, let's put it this way, more
Yeah.
censored societies. So if you identify what is the truth,
Yeah.
you may just use it. And we can see that because I know that some countries right now have their own LLMs and
Yeah.
they're saying what's true, what's not true,
Exactly.
because it always, this information belongs to somebody. You can ban anything if you have this tool in your hands.
Yes.
So how much danger might be done to the knowledge of the reality with this? How much propaganda, how much like any sort of propaganda might be used for the people and for brainwashing. And while I was checking on this, I was checking how many lawsuits were actually put on the big companies like Alphabet,
Right.
connected to data privacy violation. They just, I think it's just like it's all the time. It's happening all the time in various countries. They
Right.
heavily violate the personal data usage. So
Yeah.
they put on the advertisement using the personal data. They also exclude the competitors pushing
Yes.
their own products. It happens all the time, and the revenue and the losses the fines they pay, the fines are giant, but compared to revenue, it's not such a big deal. And as soon as we have the major players
Right.
running the show, keeping like bringing that into education without any control is very, very dangerous. And we
Yeah.
just don't even know how it's dangerous because, like,
Exactly. And it's already brought to education. I mean, people are using it, like students are using it, and I know that OpenAI might be wrong, but I think it's OpenAI that they have contracts with lots of universities in the US. So students are just allowed to use ChatGPT for free. And even, I guess, 2 years ago, when it wasn't saying that, okay, I don't know, or I have no idea, or I haven't found the source for this one. And it's already happening. And the question is, how to handle this one. And no one's really handling it.
I mean, they are handling this. I see that in my university, on the example of
Hmm.
my university.
Okay,
So
how?
we also have Copilot that is going to be deployed for the whole university. And the
Hmm.
main reasoning under this is that the equal access to all the students, because some students could use paid subscriptions for AI,
Yeah.
for better versions, for better models, and therefore their results might be better. So
Sure.
the gap will be increasing, and it will be based on the financial availability.
That's
And
so
this is
true.
how they're trying to make it equal, but it still keeps the question on about what are the regulations. Of course, they have their own policy, but it's so vague. I mean, how would you identify if I'm using AI for writing my essay? I am using, and I'm quite open about it. So the best practice is at least mention how you used AI for your essay, like for
Hmm.
proofreading, for generating ideas. There is no wrong way. There is no way you are saying this. Okay, if you say like that essay was completely created by AI, yeah, definitely you won't succeed. But
Yeah.
in all the other ways, I think the teachers just need this information to analyze what's happening, to have the real understanding where we are
Yeah.
and what need to be fixed, if something needs to be fixed. So when we see that, sorry, I've lost a little bit the train of thoughts. So when we see that, we kind of navigate about how students use it, how students don't use it, and I think this is the only way how we can check. We cannot predict how it's going. We cannot fully predict what's happening. So knowing and informing and then building. So the education for AI usage for the universities might be created based on this data. We don't have
That's
anything.
cool. That sounds pretty cool.
I'm quite positive about this, to be honest. I'm quite like optimistic about this, and not all of our teachers are.
Yeah.
I think they're much more experienced than myself to be have this informed opinion. But for my side, I think it's rather good than bad. I think we have to face this reality. I think this is the new world that is definitely crushing in our shoulders because we were not ready. Because as humankind, we are not that. I think we are slower, much slower than the technologies that are.
Yeah, and how do you sort of catch up? You said that you have your stack of tools. How do you approach it? I mean, you mentioned that you know which tools are good for like certain tasks, right? So obviously you have some kind of a stack, like I use this one for that, this one for that. And how do you approach this one? The first part of the question. And the second one, how do you catch up? Because I always feel this FOMO and scroll this LinkedIn, like the people who have I don't know, like early access, for example, to newest models. They report on things, but it's like this wheel. I don't know. I'm running all the time, and it's super overwhelming.
I have no good answer, but I feel I know that I like technically wise, like speaking about tech, about models, about knowing, I might sound like I know exactly which model what like is good for something. No, I don't. I am still an education specialist. I'm not an AI specialist as such. I
Yeah,
think you have to devote most of your time
yeah.
to this. It's a trade-off. You cannot do both at the same time. So I'm trying to balance out. I know the major LLMs. I'm trying to catch up on the news somehow about the major things about the new, like this, like for example, the new models coming up with their new abilities to understand what it gives us.
Yeah.
Is it actually changing anything or not? But for example, right now I'm focusing on developing the educational program for the teachers. And I'm coming back to the level of knowledge of, for example, when they have much, much less knowledge. So I rather have to focus on their educational needs,
Right.
on what they are, where they are, what they need to know, rather than going, to the very, very best upscaled AI existing. It's trade-off. You have to focus on something, and this is good that some people have their own like rundown. So I'm reading some bloggers that are focusing on AI, and I
Yeah.
also know that they're sharing my values regarding AI. So that's how I know, including yourself, by the way. I also know a lot of information. Like I'm getting a lot of info from your side because I don't have time for this, and
Thank you.
you are the faster way for me to know something, some updates, something like this.
Right.
So this is how we
Yeah.
do. Like I can share my educational experience and some sort of application, and you can share, and yeah, and you can share the technical stuff. But coming to my own system is absolutely intuitive. I don't have, I'm, I don't actually feel the need to establish something that's solid.
Right.
When I see the gap that it might be navigated with sort of tools I have, I'm trying to do that. But in general, I'm just, yeah, I don't like this. I don't like this. It's just like I'm learning, basically.
Right. Right. Is it some kind of structured learning or scheduled? Like some people say that, okay, every 3 months, I sort of revise and check everything that sort of came in. And for 3 months, I'm not worried about it. Like this is sort of a easy approach, I would say. Do you have something sort of shaped for yourself around this one?
That's a great idea, by the way, to have it. But I don't have it now. I think right now I'm also trying to not get overwhelmed too easily, because right now I have my dissertation and my studying here. So I'm focusing on what is what is given, like, you know, what I need for my studies. I'm reading the books, I'm reading the articles that I needed for my studies. I'm focusing on that. So I kind of have my curriculum already. I don't have to
Okay.
create it for myself. But I think
Mm-hmm.
afterwards I will have to create sort of a curriculum, because this
Right.
is, you know, the system is a curriculum
Yes.
to navigate in this. And one of the ways that I've learned during this course actually is first is this sort of a concept map. I think this is the one that is the closest to me. I cannot do it in a very structured way. I'm still slightly all over the place, and I'm getting okay with being this way. So
Mm-hmm.
there is a semi-structure. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
following some directions, but it's
Okay.
not a like, yeah, total structure. And I also think it's quite good for a new branch when you don't know what's coming next, and then
Yeah.
you don't have a preset field of information, you know, that you can easily navigate through. So it's just you know, they say as the path is appearing under the steps of a walker, of a walking person.
Yeah.
So it reveals itself on the way. So this is what I really like about this concept mapping, and this was one of the tools that we were using for one of the courses regarding to AI in education.
Oh,
And I
wow.
just progress with elaborating on this. I don't know what my camera is like swinging as I'm on
Well, wait for your hands because you were like
swaying.
helping
Yeah,
yourself.
but
Yeah.
it's too late to switch it off. So just
No,
enjoy, enjoy the ride.
it's really good. Your face is still there, so it's totally
That's
fine. Totally fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
really like.
I wanted to
Yeah.
just kind of add up to the system. So this is the concept map, and one very good thing I have to mention about this, and it's heavily underestimated, I think, is a framework on self-reflection on your
Mm-hmm.
study. And I
Mm-hmm.
think this is a crucial part, because
Okay.
you may learn a lot, but if you don't reflect on this, if you don't check on yourself about what was it about
Mm-hmm.
what you've learned, if you don't have a checkpoint,
Okay.
then you don't have the learning path. You, or at least you're lost to understand it was there.
Right.
And that was actually something that I was never, I've read a lot and I've heard a lot about various styles of education, although I didn't have a formal, like an academic education in education before.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a part of it. But this self-reflection as a part of learning, I think, is crucial. This is what I'm having and right now during my studies, and this is
Mm-hmm.
what I'm going to have after I finish.
That sounds really cool. Actually, I
There are
really
lots of
like
different
it.
words for that.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'm still making the course, so I think I should add this one. It is really seems very useful. And also about adult education, because it's obviously your major. What would you say now to people who are sort of learning AI? Is that a personalized thing? Like each person has to, has one's own approach. But how to sort of start it? Like you said, that maybe like AI with Google might not work like an ideal solution, but there are so many courses. How to choose how to choose it, how to stick to it, because we have no time because we're adults, right? Like in one of the courses that I was an instructor at, it had so many recordings, like for I would say maybe 5 hours a week, and people had to take vacation, take holiday
Oh
off their
my God.
work, and not everyone can do it, right? How to approach it for yourself, how to stay engaged and get value and stay motivated for a whole month, for example.
Uh, Generally speaking, I think the major point that we have to admit, and I think it's easy, but I mean it's a simple one. but we underestimate the value of it when we are not connected to education, because people in education mostly know it, that retention for online learning is extremely low. So when I was working with educational courses, with micro-learning courses, it was about 6%. So the completion rate for people who started is extremely low,
Right.
because you have to be your own motivator.
Yeah.
And whoever try to lose weight, go to gym, do any good, like to develop a good habit, it is extremely hard work. And I think the first thing we need to acknowledge that if we're going through the self-paced course, we are probably going to fail multiple times. We're going to fail to catch up. We are going to fail with the quality, and it's all right. So we
Yeah.
have to probably agree to the mediocre level of the participation,
Yeah.
because any participation in this, any retention to it, in any like coming back to it, is better than none. So is but it's like just like with any habit,
Yeah. Yeah.
and people tend to think that it's like 21 days to develop a habit. It's more than a year, I think, to
I've
develop a
heard
habit.
about this one. Yeah, it's cool that you mention this.
It's extremely hard, and learning is hard,
Yeah.
and we will try not to do it, especially if we have work, if we have
Yeah.
chores, if we have kids, if we have and we have if we have lives.
Yeah.
So I think value is one of the things that might be sort of a help in this. So two things probably. Value, so your own motivation, why do you do this? But I would also suggest not just having, okay, I'm doing this for having a bigger, like a better salary.
Yeah.
You should be as precise as possible, and there is a
Okay.
framework called Whoop. It's called Whoop.
Oh, okay.
It's called Whoop, and it's also had the scientific, so it's a scientifically proven effect on even the kids, on using it when you try to predict the obstacles, when you try to predict success. So you're not just having your value in the corner, but you also have every obstacle thought of, and you also have the plan how you will deal with every obstacle, which really increases the chances that you are going to succeed during this. So this is the first one.
That's
And the
so
second,
cool.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No. Go on. I'm just
Yeah, so
thinking
the
about
first
this
one
one.
is this like thinking about the obstacles.
Yeah.
Uh, One more thing is the positive reinforcement. We have to develop the habits not from pushing ourselves too harder.
Oh.
I think we are used to it, especially people from Eastern Europe. I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but
Okay.
definitely we were taught to, like be hard yourself, go
Yeah.
it, do it. Uh, I don't think it's just us, but still, I can speak for our generation. Definitely not working like this. You're gonna be, if you already resist, it's gonna just add up more resistance. So reinforcement. This is how I finally loved, learned to love jogging. I
Oh.
never loved jogging. I hated it
How?
for years. I
How?
started with a very, very small, this is what I said, like the discipline and the any attempt, any coming back is better than not coming back. So
Okay.
I was running. I started with 1 minute running, 1 minute, 2 minutes walking. And for me as an adult person, I was like, what the hell is this for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
So what is like a kindergarten? Come on, like let's go with, and I'm like, I'm sportish. I can do like 30 minutes.
Yeah. Like an hour right away. I know.
Yeah, like I can do this. I could, but I was suffering so much. I hated myself, hated the world, and my brain wouldn't ever agree. And my like system, like the like feeling brain would say no
Yeah,
way. It will create
absolutely.
any justification, but no. So I started with this. There was a system
Okay.
planned, and there was a reinforcement. however much I've done it, I was going to reinforce myself with like some sort of a reinforcement. And it's also like when I was finishing my jogging, I had a coffee in my favorite coffee shop, and I had a cookie, just very basic one, just like Pavlov's dogs, a cookie was good enough. So maybe cookie doesn't motivate all of us, but still. But you have to just remember that we are animals on this very basic level, however
Exactly.
smart we are. So this is how you keep doing this. And yeah, so the first thing is, yeah, like the small steps, reinforcement, and the regularity, and planning the obstacles to maintain this regularity. I think this is it. And the second one, it's also a very good strategy, I think, even better, because the first one is basically mostly around your own self-regulation. Still, you have to create this system and
Yeah,
then stick to it. It's a big
yeah,
deal, really. Not
it
everybody
is.
does this. But the other one is easier, but it goes with another price. It's the extrinsic motivation.
Mm.
So you have to have deadlines. You have to promise to somebody that you are going to do this. You have to pay money for this. You have to, because this is how it works. So even the system, when you promise, there is research about when you have an agreement with a person who you trust, that if I'm not doing this after this date, I'm giving you $100 and you are just spending it. If you know for sure that this person will take it, not skipping. So if you have this like solid agreement, this is going to motivate you. Losing money is going to motivate you. Like, it should be some amount that is meaningful. I mean, it shouldn't,
Right, right, right.
your house, but still something big enough
That's such a
to
cool perspective.
where, yeah, we shouldn't be relying on, yeah, I can do this. Let's
Yeah,
rely on
yeah,
I can do this, and let's think about what I'm gonna do with me not being able to do this. Because people
right.
think they can do this, they do this. They don't need this.
That's so true. It's also connected to this idea. I think I have one last question to you about AI tools, and yeah, about AI tools first, and then I'll move on to this one because it made me think that what you are talking about is how uh, sort of the coaching course, Art of Accomplishment. I really like it now. I'm sort of kind of a fan, even if I'm normally not a fan of anything. But this one is really cool. And they are using this in their teachings because they help people to sort of connect to their emotions and not manage emotions, but sort of live it through and achieve things because art of accomplishment, obviously. And I think it's really cool that to an educational course, you can apply all these concepts to engage, to keep people motivated. It's really cool. Thank you for this one. And coming back to the last question, what do you think, what do you not just think, but do as a person in sort of connected to this AI domain, obviously, with your educational experience of the last year? Do you build? Are you in which sort of camp are you? Are you in this chat only camp, or because my course is about going from chat to builder mode, like Cloud Code, Codex, and stuff to sort of build systems for you. What's your angle and practice these days?
That's a great question. I think that for me, I'm still coming from the educational perspective. I'm still coming from the side of the needs. If there is, if what I need is just the answer, I I don't like I prefer not to overcomplicate this. But if I need to learn, then I need to figure out what I need to learn. So this is the whole process of reconstructing the final goal
Right,
and uh, creating the steps towards it.
right. And is it the first step? Like when you start, you do it, right?
The first step, you mean the setting the goal?
I mean, yeah, like when you think whether you need even this, building stuff, do you start with your sort of auditing, probably, right? That's what you mean?
I mean, I don't set the system for myself as haven't at least just yet because yeah I think I'm gonna use it for my like next learning, but if I know I need to learn some skill, I definitely I need to understand why and how it will be applied, what it gives me. For
Yeah.
example, I need to learn the skill because I see that the employers are seeking for the skill and I don't have it. And
Mm-hmm.
this means I will be able to apply for this, I don't know, like the bigger salary, the better places or something like this. Then I know why, and then I know what I need to do, and then I have to decompose it. Like what I would do is I would de deconstruct it for the smaller details about, like, for example, I don't just need to do how to build an agent with code.
Yeah.
I would just go, for example, with okay, what actual skills I need to gain. I need to know how to create a prompt. I need to know, so I deconstruct it, and I already see, like, okay, it's bigger than I thought. It's always the case, but at
Mm-hmm.
least it narrows you down to what you really need for this very task, because otherwise you're going to be all over the place, because there are lots of turns when you can turn and take a turn and, like, oh, this is interesting, oh, this is interesting, or maybe I should explore that more. And while creating education for other people, other from myself, because for yourself it's still slightly more intuitive, you kind of also have this feeling and you don't have to process it through your like metacognition to the real, like, you don't write the plan for yourself because you don't need to like mandatorily, you don't need to, I don't know, to show it to anybody. You just need to
Sure.
follow it, or
Yeah.
you kind of feel it. But if you
Yeah.
do something for anybody else when you don't feel the needs, you don't feel them, you don't know them. So that's how you kind of need to identify and stick to them, just because otherwise, if you're taking a turn, you're losing people because they don't need this, or it's too complex, or they don't understand they need this and why. So
Right.
they are detached from the whole process of learning. And in order to keep them in, you have to like have this understanding of their need, and also build this understanding of their need, because you make this connection as a teacher or as a educator about what they don't know and why they need this out of the place where they are.
Right.
So
That's so
it's
cool.
more intuitively, yeah, working for myself as a person. But if I'm working for somebody else, I definitely create learning objectives and the whole path how we go there, and it
Mm-hmm.
saves lots of time just to not, yeah, do it too generically. This is why we need context. Coming back to your very first question, this is how we need context, because the context sets up these learning goals.
Right.
When students don't have access to technology, I mean, to like to laptops, we exclude a greater part of the education that we might have thought about if we were creating it for the people with laptops. So we just cut it, and then we have a clear idea of what the path looks like.
That's so cool. I really love it.
I hope it's understandable in any way.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I'm just processing it now for my course itself and what it's missing and the stuff. And about the context, uh, how do you get this context about people? Through interviewing? What do you think is the best way to understand it?
Yeah, I think that first there is lots of data already. You can just go and try to find out have there been any research on this topic, what the research was about, trying to find out good research, trying to identify it from weak research, because sometimes it's not always it's quite like well done due to methodology and stuff like this. So it means the results might be also not true. So you kind of try to identify the good papers that exist, if they do. Uh, and yeah, and the second way is definitely going and asking, talking. But in this regard, you also have to keep in mind that you will still, like, I think we have to maintain this bias of ourselves and our will to share something specific, rather than like going through the other side, through the needs of the audience. And I think it's everywhere in content creation in general, in social media. Do you create your social media for yourself or for the people? If they have purpose, otherwise then, you know, oh God, I've lost the word. Just expressing yourself. If it's something not just that, there is a purpose, you have to follow the people who are going to be at another side of this information. So so I think this is what we should keep in mind, and this is how I would navigate. Sorry, I think I've lost the train of thoughts. Can you please
Uh,
remind me?
yeah, how to yeah, I guess I'm also a little lost. Yeah,
Sorry.
because it's almost more than an hour. I always say that like
Yeah,
meeting
this.
that is more than an hour is like no, you shouldn't
Yeah.
do it.
It's already
Okay, if you want to tell me a little bit, maybe, okay, really the last one, about your dissertation. Are you writing it
yeah.
right now? Probably. What's your topic? If you want to tell about this one, I could also be really curious about this one.
Sure, I would love to, of course, as I'm gathering this information, and not that many people want to hear about anybody. So far, you have this urge. So I'm writing about sense making for teachers, school teachers making sense of AI technologies in terms of rather constrained context, when they have technological constraints, when they have administrative constraints, where they don't have official policy regarding AI, how they make sense of it. So there is a whole theory of sense making which I'm using, created by Wake, which is extremely interesting and extremely complex from my personal perspective. But it's really cool how we make sense of things that are happening to us out of the blue. So when something is not going the way that it should, we are identifying this situation and we try to make sense of it. Like, what is it? What happened? And the whole process of it is extremely interesting, because we are not that rational that we think we are. So one of the examples on this theory was how American soldiers accidentally had like a friendly fire on their own, I think, planes or something like this, killing 20 peers, because there was some sort of situation that was coming out of the blue. They didn't know how to react, and their sense making, when like, and it's an easy way to say, yeah, they made a mistake, but it doesn't explain anything. And the researchers were trying to identify how it happened,
Yeah.
why they made this idea, why they make this, like, what understanding did they develop before making any decision, which is more important. So this is
Right.
actually what it is. So I really love the whole complexity of this theoretical framework, and I'm trying to use it to apply it to AI
Oh,
for the
wow.
teachers in Belarus, because I'm really interested, because right now we don't have any policy, and people are just trying to make sense of it. So out of the resources that are available, and I'm
Absolutely.
trying to figure out what is there, what is available, how they do it, how they professional. Like, it's extremely, like, I mean, it's solely professional angle, but I'm really curious about how. What do they feel about it? Do they feel actually losing their professional identity to it, or not so much? Do they
Yeah.
feel it to be a help or a disruptor? Do they forbid this for the students, or they encourage students to use it? Because we don't have any information about this so far. So I'm just
Right.
trying to map this for probably. Uh, I think I'm demanding too much from just a master's dissertation, but I'm really curious about the topic, and I would really love knowing what's happening in Belarusian schools now.
Yeah, I think that it also might be useful for many locations, not just Belarus, because I guess majority of schools do not have any policy or something. They're just, sort of in this cold water and swimming on their own everywhere. It could be truly useful for anyone, I guess, anywhere.
This is my intention. I will try, my best to make it happen.
Okay, I hope you will share it somewhere, somehow, in some of, I don't know, accessible way, and I'll be waiting for this one. And thank you very much for this conversation. It was super valuable for me personally and really interesting. If you want to share something else, go ahead. If don't, I'm really, really grateful for this one. Thank you.
I probably will add just one more detail. I hope, it's like 1 hour, 22 minutes, and we are both tired, but also people probably are tired from hearing. Hopefully, I will still add up.
They can pause, have their coffee.
The needs of our audience right away. I will, yeah. But anyway, I think this is a very, very interesting point because it was kind of like an insight for me. So during one of the courses, we needed to create our own LLM. It was a very, very basic level. It was like a tool for kids, so it wasn't that much like big. But I was really impressed because I've created a very, very basic LLM, extremely basic. It was, I think the data set was about, I don't know, 30 tokens, something like this, and the 6 replies that the LLM could use based on their assessment of the probability of each result, like of the comparison of the combination. So it was very easy. It was the procrastination helper to make it easier to understand.
Okay,
So,
I need one.
Yeah, so I created the whole, initially I created a ChatGPT agent for myself to help me to go through procrastination and perfectionism.
Wow.
And I use it as a basis for this tiny tool for the student that we had to create during our course. And I created it, and there were basically 6 major, or 5, I don't remember, major domains of procrastination, which is first is perfectionism, when you're trying to do everything as perfectly as you can. Yep, I know. Same here. The second is bad planning. So sometimes people with, for example, with ADHD and all this anxiety issues, they need to plan accordingly to reality, not to their imagination. So the frameworks for planning, and there are several more, just to give you the flavor of what there was. And there was this very simple interface where there was an owl talking to you, and you ask the question, you write a prompt, and the LLM is trying to identify the keywords or any other connections, and it gives you one of 5 or 6 responses accordingly. So if it identifies that the problem was perfectionism, it gives you the answer about perfectionism and some tools about perfectionism and how to manage it. 6 responses and 30-ish, maybe 40 tokens. But and then I had to test it on one of our peers, meaning the peer who already studied the whole year of AI. So they should be more or less more aware of a regular person on the street about what AI is and what it is not.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that the major feedback will be, oh, it's so simple, it's not matching, I'm it's not giving me the right answers. It's so too stupid, basically.
Okay.
But instead, I got the result that the person was so engaged because it was somehow connected to the emotional state, because the issue of perfectionism, I was adding oh yeah, I know, we all have it, so some sort of compassion. And it probably, this is my guess, that it probably looked at human-like, and plus giving some really helpful tools. I think because of that, people were perceiving it as much smarter, much smarter than it really was, because I know what's there.
Right.
So I think is as a final saying from myself in this podcast, I would say that we should be very much aware of how easy we are in offloading the authority and knowledge of the role of more knowledgeable tool to AI,
Right.
regardless of the topic. Sometimes it is, in lots of cases it is, but sometimes it's not. And we really should be very, very awake about what we are using AI for in our lives because it really influences it. And it really influences our decisions. Do we want it or not? If we justify it as our own decisions or not, it's still very, very it influences a lot. So we should be very careful about what we give the power to about running our decisions. This
That
is
is
probably
so
it.
good. Thank you for this one. It's like, I guess, a perfect ending to a conversation about AI, obviously. Yeah. And also, quick question. Do you have this procrastination tool? Like, is it in a shareable GPT format or this old thing? Would you want to maybe share it
I can
as
share
well?
my I can share the previous one. The thing is it's in Russian because this is my
Uh,
native thinking
uh,
language.
but I mean, is it a GPT?
Yes.
It doesn't matter if it's in Russian or anything. It
Ah,
will just,
right. Okay,
yeah.
wait, wait. Yeah, so right. I've even checked it. I forgot about it. I'm not using it for quite a while, so procrastinating fully with
Or maybe
including this
now.
podcast. So yeah, it's that easy. I can share, and I would love any feedback. Any
Yeah, I
feedback.
would love to use it because what you mentioned, this, perfectionism and bad planning and switching between so many things is so me. So yeah, I would appreciate it.
Okay, okay, easy.
Cool. Thank you very much. It was a super, super valuable conversation for me.
For me
Thank
too,
you.
it was sort of this reflection that you're having, and yeah. I was coming here. I was thinking, I don't know anything. What I would tell, I don't know.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, and
Wow.
then you start, and you're like, yeah. I think I have some information that I would like just because you also overestimate people on the other side about they know the same that you do, but they don't.
That's
You
so
don't,
true.
do know something else, but this
This is true
this
about
is very
professionals and about like really professional people. They all think that people know this, but people don't.
100%.
Okay, then. Thank you.